What's up, guys? Welcome to the Create the Courage podcast. This is a show where we'll be delving into the art of chasing your dreams, leveling up your skills, and most importantly, taking charge of your life. I believe that nobody is coming to save you. It's up to you to step up, take control, and shape your destiny. Each episode will aim to inspire and empower you with the tools and motivation to turn your aspirations into reality. As this is also a journey I'm on, each episode I'll be talking with people from all walks of life, from all over the world, to try to learn how they create the courage in their lives. Now, my first guest is a profoundly important one to me. We used to work together, but had lost touch until just recently when both of our lives have been going through some very big changes. His more so than mine. So I thank him for taking the time to come and talk to me, not only to catch up and reminisce about good times, but also to share his story. So without further ado, here's my chat with Mr. Robert Greaves, a man that definitely represents what it means to create the courage. Rob, mate, my first guest to
How are
Create
you,
the
brother?
Courage podcast. I am well, sir. I'm well. Thank you so much for doing this last minute too, which is I'm very appreciative of. And if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be doing it right now. So thank you for pushing me to do it today
Mate,
instead
thanks
of
for
putting
having
it
me.
off.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's always good
Awesome.
talking to you too, John.
I know it's been, look, I might give people a bit of a breakdown on how we started chatting again, but we used to work
Yeah,
together. I don't remember how many years ago it was, but it was a few years ago. And we hadn't talked for a long time. And I honestly, this is a true story. You started popping up in my Facebook feed, just motivational posts coming up. Every other day I was seeing it, just like the little taglines you'd give you in the
yep,
gym. And I'm like,
yep.
oh, he's jacked as usual. He's looking huge as usual. And I thought, what's Rob doing? And as it turned out, I was doing a podcast at the time. And I thought, you know what? I want to talk to Rob about health and fitness. I think he'd be a great person to talk about motivation, dedication, because when we worked together, you were always so calm, always so good at motivating people. And just had that aura about you of a leader. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna
Mhm.
talk you up a little bit here, but you're always so calm and commanding. I thought was the thing. So I thought, you know what, he's popping up in my feed for a reason. I need to reach out to him. And then I reached out to you, and now, what, a month or so later, here we are.
Here we are.
Here
Yeah,
we are.
that's
Now,
good.
do you want to
It's
maybe?
about uh, it's about 7 years
Sorry.
ago, at least.
Right? Was it? Yeah, about
Yeah,
7.
six or seven, I would say,
That's
at
crazy.
least. Yeah,
And I hadn't seen you popping up on my Facebook at all for a long time.
yeah,
But then all of a
yeah,
sudden, just within a couple months ago, I don't know if you were
yeah.
posting more or if you were doing more.
I was definitely posting more, because of uh, how do I I'll start here. Like, I've got a
Yeah.
love-hate relationship with computers and social
Okay.
media and stuff, and, like,
Yes,
it's all part of our lives. It's everything
it
now,
is.
right?
It
And I
is.
know that I should be on it, and I should develop that
Mm,
relationship better with it. And
yes.
it's something that I've just struggled with my whole life because I come from a farming background. I don't know if you knew that,
Hmm.
but I was raised on
I don't know if
farms.
I did. I don't know if I
And
did.
we never, like, I never really kept up with technology when I was younger.
Hmm.
Um, but then obviously moving to Perth and coming into Perth, it's a in any job role that you're in, you're utilizing
Mm,
technology, utilizing computers and systems,
yeah.
etc. And then in the health and well-being space, I mean, it's one of the biggest key factors, right?
Hmm. It
So,
is, especially
um,
especially for coaching.
yeah.
That's for
So,
sure.
circling back around, I did start
Mm,
posting more consistently, but
okay.
what I did is I told myself that I'm going to be posting these notes to myself because
Mm,
they are the post-it notes to myself, and I
yeah.
think they started getting a lot more traction because I wasn't posting to post to other people. What would
Hmm.
people like? What would motivate other people? Blah 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 blah.
Hmm.
Um, Ryder, who used to sit next to me at work, he'll attest to this, but I got Post-it notes at my work, and every day I'll pull one out and I will just write something on there, and then I will post it at the bottom of
Mm,
my screen, and it would be my mission to live up to that. Whatever I wrote on there, that would be the mission of the day.
wow.
And then Ryder, who used to sit next to me, he would read them and he'd get pumped up. And then so at the end of the
Oh.
day, because I'd still be working there longer than everyone else, and they'd all leave,
Of course, because that's
they'd
who
all
you
leave
are.
bang on 5 o'clock or whatever. Um, I'll still be on my mission, and then,
Yeah,
if I hadn't lived up to what I put on that Post-it note, I would make sure that I would, like, complete something, or, like, make sure that I really,
yeah.
really put the effort in. At the end of the day, I'd pull that Post-it note off, and then I started putting it on Ryder's desk, and then he started collecting them. So then I just
Oh,
started transferring that to Instagram. So
that's cool.
yeah.
So, okay, with that, right, where does that come from? Because you've always been like that. Where has that come from? Where do you think that's come from? Is that always something you've done? Is someone that you
Yeah,
admire inspired you to be like that? Like,
yeah,
where's that
yeah.
come from?
I think it's two things. I think one is naturally I'm a giver and I care for people, and I think that
Yeah,
that comes through. When you meet me, or work with me.
definitely.
Um, so I think that's the natural part of it, like born with it.
Yeah.
Um, but the drive, I guess, and um, the drive to continually learn or to seek that, um,
Mm,
being better.
mm,
I'm not sure if that's something that's natural or if that's just come from coming out of
mm,
poverty, um,
mm.
life experiences, um, and just trying to evolve into a better human.
Yeah.
And the leadership side, sort of, it's always naturally come.
Mm,
It hasn't been like I haven't necessarily looked for it. I've just ended up in leadership
mm.
roles over the years,
Yeah.
but I've been so dumb that I've never studied leadership. It's
Mm.
like I've studied the thing
Instinct.
that I've done.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? But it's
Yeah. But if
like
you're already doing
like
it, you're learning as you're doing it, I
yeah,
think. I think it's
it's like here's an example: farming. I was really good
mm,
at farming, so I was learning
yeah.
farming when I was at school, etc. And then people would naturally sort of follow me and learn from me in doing that.
Mhm.
But I never studied leadership. And then
Yeah.
I left school early, and to be able to leave school early, I had to go and do a trade. So I went and became a
Mhm.
mechanic because I loved cars.
Mhm.
Similar sort of thing, right?
Mhm.
But I never studied leadership. And
Mm.
then so on and so forth, and other roles in the fitness industry, and then into management in the fitness industry, and so on. But I
Yeah.
kept studying fitness, and I kept studying more on nutrition, or more on trying to
Yeah.
get jacked,
There's so much to do in that, isn't it?
more on
There's so
business.
much in that, it takes up a lot of your time just to learn
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
to be able to teach other people that.
yeah.
And
And
that's
like we might be jumping ahead, but circling back around,
mm,
I honestly think only just this year, or even right now, I'm going through a transition where
mm.
I need to start focusing on leadership and
Yeah.
truth, and people living up to being their best selves,
Yeah.
because it's naturally in me, and
Yeah.
I think I should follow that path rather
Yeah.
than pushing
Isn't
into
it
something
crazy?
else.
Isn't it crazy like that as we get older? I mean, it's taken me, I'm 41 now, I'm gonna be 42. It's taken me a long time to come to the realization that I should just, sack up and go after what I am actually passionate about rather than
Yeah.
putting it off or adhering to other things. Like the whole leadership thing with you, I think it makes sense. And did you think to yourself, like, why didn't I think about doing this sooner? Because, you know, I only started thinking about leadership when I became a manager, and I've gone through ups and
Mhm.
downs with that when I was managing. Like the year that we worked together, was the worst year of management, I think, or leadership that I ever had. But looking back on it, it taught me so much about
Yeah,
how to be
yeah,
better in the places I went after. And I think, man, did I have to go through that year of just awfulness? And it's a shame because we worked together at my worst
yeah.
time, which is, man, it's just kind of funny now that I look back
Bro,
on it.
you were fine. There was no breakdowns. There was
Oh
nothing.
no.
You were smooth as.
I don't know. I think I look back on some things. There's a few people that didn't like me, and I always kind of gauged it like that. It feels like a few people, if your
Uh,
staff don't like you, you might be doing something a little wrong, or the team doesn't like you. There could be something going on there. But leadership, I think,
yeah,
it's so complicated, mate. It is so complicated. But
yeah.
okay, so when it comes
Because
to
it's
you,
humans, right? And humans are complicated.
humans are
We're all
complicated.
different. We're all got
Yes,
different personalities. Every
yes,
single one of
different
those
reasons.
personalities have different perspectives.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Different reasons for being there. I just know when we work together, you come to me. And for those that don't know, me and Rob work together at a good old place called Good Life Health Clubs in the city here in Perth, Western Australia, um, Murray Street. The good old days. I was there for a year. I can't remember exactly when you came in, but you came in
yeah,
pretty early, maybe like a couple months me being in there. And I think we
yeah,
hit it off pretty quickly. I think we hit it off.
yeah. You
Um,
just came from across from Carousel.
I went to
Yeah.
Bibra Lake first. Yeah, so I went to
Did you?
Carousel to Bibra
Right.
Lake. I did a year at Bibra Lake, and then I came to Murray Street under not the best circumstances with how
Yeah,
the company does
yeah.
their thing. And that was another good lesson learned about how companies work and how um, upper management can be in
Mhm.
business and things like that. But I tell you what, it taught me a lot about management, which, as I'm sure it did for you, when
It's a good place to
in your
learn.
time.
It's a
It
good
is a
place
good
to
place to
learn.
learn. It's a good
Yeah,
place to learn
yeah.
how to not do things.
It looks like it's, evolved and changed a lot now, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not really in with the good life,
Mm,
sort of scene at the moment, but
mm. No, neither am I. Neither am I.
the
But I
gyms
will
are
always
looking
be
a lot
thankful
better.
for it, though. Are they? It's been a long time since I've been there.
Yeah,
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 okay.
I
Yeah,
think they're slowly improved over the years, and I think they've
yeah.
had to, right?
Yeah, they would have had to, especially with the competition that's out these days.
Mm,
There's so many. I mean, so now I actually clean gyms. I run my own cleaning business, and we clean gyms. So I've gone from managing gyms to cleaning gyms, and I actually prefer being on the cleaning side. I'll tell you that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, for me, I don't think leadership was my end goal of what I wanted to do, but I
yeah.
enjoyed it, and it taught me a lot. And if I hadn't have done it, it wouldn't have led me to doing the cleaning business, which wouldn't have led me to being here doing this, talking to you right
That
now. So I
whole
look.
that whole good life experience though is like
Mm,
I it might just be the way that I look at things, but I see it as
mm,
such a great experience for people to go through. Like
yeah,
if you're someone who's lost in a career, they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do. Going and
mhm,
learning sales at Good Life, learning how to connect with humans, how to
yes,
find what drives them, what inspires them. Um,
yeah,
and if you do it in the right way, you can be really supportive and help a lot of
mm,
people.
you
And
can,
but going through that roller coaster and learning the business and the targets and what you have to hit month after month and going through the pressure game
yeah,
of pulling people out of thin air and talking to anyone and everyone,
randoms,
trying
yes.
to find that connection. Um,
Oh man,
I think if you soak it up the right way, it can teach you a lot about life,
I think
right? And
so.
then
Actually, yeah,
you can go from there to other businesses and other places and like, man, this is a
yeah.
breeze.
Yeah.
This ain't
I
nothing.
honestly I honestly think you've hit the nail on the head. Sales, if it wasn't for sales, and in the gym environment is a good way to
Yeah.
look at it because in the gym environment, you're seeing people from all different walks of life. You might be trying to sell a businessman, then you might be selling a mother with a teenage son who wants to come in, or you might be trying to sell a husband and wife where one wants to come and the other one doesn't, or you might be selling a car salesman, or you might be selling to who knows from any walk of life. And I think doing that in a gym scenario teaches you how to adapt to different people and how to
Mhm.
um, just figure out. I mean, if you're into it, that's the thing, right? A lot of people get into it and they're just
Yeah.
doing it as a job and they're not focusing on what they can get out of it. And I think me and you are like. we took out
Mm,
of sales, how can we use this in other areas of life to get us ahead in other scenarios? How can I
yeah.
learn how to sell things, negotiate with people, convince people, motivate people? And the motivating thing is a big tagline that still runs with me today, because create the courage, the name of this podcast, kind of comes from that, what I learned from the fitness industry, which is things aren't just going to come to you magically. You actually
Mhm.
have to create them. And that's the same with fitness and health and looking after your body. You're not magically just going to get motivated to exercise. You need to create that. You need to get up when you don't want to. You need to push through the pain. You need to do all the things that you don't want to do to get to the point where you're resilient enough to do other things. Would you agree with that? Like, is that one of the big things you take away from, I guess, your time in the fitness space?
Yeah, well, it's the whole thing, really. Like, I mean, it, everything you just said, like, I resonate with. I think just the fact of being in the fitness space, 90%
Mm,
of people that come into the fitness space want to help people anyway. So we're
yeah.
driven that
Yeah.
we're that kind of people.
Yeah.
Um, and unfortunately, you got to run a business and make money at the same time. So you do need to
Mhm,
learn how to sell. And
mhm,
what we've obviously seen is, and what people experience is, even just saying that word can bring the
mm.
hair on the back of people's necks up, because it's like a dirty
Yeah,
word, right? It's
it is.
like that sleazy car salesman that sells you the car that
Yeah.
you didn't really want to buy, or
Yep.
people who have purchased things in the past, based
Yep.
off emotion, and they
Mhm,
regret it massively. But I
mhm.
think if you're focused on the right things, and
Yeah.
you remind yourself that this person has walked in here for a reason, and there's
Mhm.
something that has brought that person in here today,
Mm.
and I'm going to find out what that is and try and help them with it.
Yeah.
Um, and if you come from that perspective, you could learn a lot. You can learn a lot about humans, a lot about people,
A lot
and
about yourself. A lot about
yeah,
yourself too, I think. Right,
yeah,
how you handle people, because
yeah,
it's frustrating. It is
yeah.
it's a frustrating thing. Look, I will admit, mate, when I started doing sales, right, I treated it like a game. I didn't come at it from an angle. I mean, I just left working at the casino in a job I hated, to getting into the health and fitness. I originally applied to be like a maintenance guy, but there weren't any roles going. So I went
Mm,
to sales. So I actually had no experience in sales. And I learned, within the first 2 weeks of being at the first club I was at, two people that started the same time as I did quit in the sales department. And then because they quit, I got more people to sit in front of. And I was like, oh, hang
yeah,
on. Okay. So as long as I don't quit, I'll get more people and maybe I'll get better at it. So I kind of treated it like a game, and I wasn't necessarily thinking about helping people. But over time, as I then being in the space started exercising, looking into how to get better, look after shoulder injuries that I had, I started to find people that motivated me. And that's why I asked, like, if you had anybody that like motivated you or gave you inspiration about being a leader or just being the way you are, because it wasn't until I
mhm,
was in it for a little while before I started wanting to help people, and then caring, and then kind of combining the two of, yes, you need to be a salesman, but I'm not selling cigarettes. I'm selling the opportunity for people to come to a place to better themselves, and how can I get
yeah.
them to understand that? That was a tough one, because if you're selling I feel like selling something like a product is so much easier than trying to sell someone on looking after themselves. You know what I mean? When they already think that you're a sleazy salesman. Oh, you're just trying to get me to sign up because you want to get a sale or money. I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah,
also you said you need to do X, Y, Z.
yeah,
That was a
yeah. It's
tough.
much easier. It's much easier to sell someone an iPhone if they're walking in there to buy an iPhone,
Yes.
right?
Yes, right? Or anything, or alcohol. You come buy this bottle of alcohol, come try this, whatever
Yeah,
it is. It's so
yeah,
much easier. But trying to sell someone, no, you actually have to get up. You actually
yeah,
have to get in early and put yourself through, pain and time and dedication and all those things. Um, but I'll always be grateful for what the fitness industry. I mean, you're still in it, right? In it. So I'm no
to
longer in
some
it in
degree,
that
yeah,
sense, to some
yeah.
degree. But we both still
Like,
implement it in life, I guess.
coming back to answer your question on, like, who inspired me, etc. Like,
Yeah.
if we're looking back then, so I'll preframe this by saying, like, I've literally learned everything the hard way. So,
Yeah.
um,
Okay.
yeah, like it, growing up, we came from a mentality where the world is just what it is, and you were born into the area or the
Hmm.
demographic that you're born into. It's sort of like a poverty mindset, right?
Mm.
So all the people that we were around, they behaved the same. They did the same
Hmm.
things. They complained about each other the same. They complained about, um, you know, the circumstances, the government,
Hmm.
the tax, the everything. Like I was
Yeah.
raised that every person that was a city slicker was just a corrupt
Hmm.
person that just wanted to rip off farmers and
Hmm.
every so we just worked on the farms. We never owned the farms. So
Mm.
everyone who owned the farms, they either stole it or stole the land, or
Mm.
like they were just some rich cow cocky that owned multiple
Yeah.
different ranches or whatever
Hmm.
you want to call them.
Yeah.
So we sort of had that mindset. So growing up, I didn't actually
Mm.
have I didn't have the mindset to look for mentors. Sort of just
Mm.
stumbled my way through it, and that
Yeah.
like it's sort of just fell into leadership, and then
Yeah.
came out of it and stuffed up, and then stumbled into it again, and so it's sort of
Yeah.
been a cyclic pattern. And then it
Mm.
wasn't really until like I think I was always searching because I was always studying and always learning, but I always thought it was about the thing and not about
Mm.
behavior or character. And
Mm.
now I'm shifting more into it's not necessarily about the thing, it's about who you are as a
Yeah.
human, what your goal is to be as a human, not
Hmm.
necessarily the end game or the end point, but what type
Yes.
of person are you going to be maybe attract that or to
Mm.
align with that.
Yeah.
Um, and probably from about 28, I would say that's when I started listening to guys like Eric Thomas, started
Hmm.
listening to Jim Rohn is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
He's old
He's one of
school,
the
he's
first
got a
ones I listened
funny
to too.
accent, but
Yeah.
he is on point.
His
Um,
delivery on point, right?
I just love listening to him, man.
Delivery. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can hear
Um,
it as you said his name, I could hear his voice in my head. Literally.
yeah, man. Yeah,
Literally.
yeah. I love it. I'm
Um,
pretty sure my partner hates his accent, but I love the way he speaks, man. Um,
tired of hearing it.
so
Uh,
I guess I started looking towards YouTube and Instagram
yep.
for mentors. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
guys that I follow now, um,
Yeah.
they're just they're not, real mentors that I'm catching up with each
Hmm.
week here in Perth. It's literally just watching YouTube,
Yeah. That's
looking
how
at
I did it.
guys, reading their books,
Yep.
maybe going to a
Yep.
seminar here and there, testing the
Yeah.
waters on a few things. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
And you know, that's exactly how I did it. I wasn't into any self-development stuff until I became a manager for the first time. So I went from sales. I got my first management job. We had a baby on the way. So my daughter Mila, who's now 8. So I'm thinking about I've only been doing
yeah,
self-development stuff for 8 years. Um, I got the job at a place called Bibra Lake, where so from where I live, it was about a 45-minute drive with no traffic.
yeah,
So I would
yeah,
get up. My wife Lani had just had our baby, and I'd started this job. I was driving. I would leave it. I get up at 5 in the morning. I would leave because I wanted to train before work. So at this time, I got into training because I wanted to fix shoulder issues from being a croupier. I had RSI and inflammation in both my shoulders, and just messed up from not looking after myself for a long time. It was, I bring this story up to mention because I want to talk to you about this, about finding the good in bad scenarios. Um, Bad scenario in the sense of I didn't want to travel as far as I had to travel for work, but I did it because it was an opportunity to make more money and progress my career, right? And in the career of the gym industry, there wasn't much further to go than a gym manager,
yeah,
state levels and things like. But in order to do that, you need to become a manager. But it was the drive the long drives in traffic sometimes would take me an hour and a half to get home overnight. So I'd leave at 5 in the morning, get there, train, go to start work, and then leave. And sometimes I wouldn't get home till like 6 or 7. So my poor wife's at home with the baby
Mhm.
from 5 in the morning on her own till 6, 7 at night sometimes. And I was stuck in traffic sometimes for 2 to 3 hours a day. What came from that though was I got bored of listening to music. So I started listening to YouTube. And at first I started listening to compilations of just motivational speakers, and Jim Rohn was one of those people.
Yeah. Yeah,
Eric
yeah.
Thomas, Brian Tom, I
Tracy?
can't remember it. No, maybe. There's a few. I started listening to all
Yeah.
different ones.
Yeah.
And over the course of that year, the more and more I listened to, I listened to all the compilations I could listen to. So I thought, okay, what can I listen to next? I thought, I want to be a good manager. So maybe I'll listen to audiobooks. Then I started listening to audiobooks. I listened to audiobooks on sales, audiobooks on management. And because I was driving so much, I just listened to it when I would drive and when I would work out. So I got to a point, my best run was I did like 4 books in 4 weeks. I did like a book a week. And it was using that terrible time of being stuck in traffic that I used to learn and start upskilling. And that's kind of what kicked
Mhm.
me off into the self-development stuff. Which, I look back on now thinking, I was so lucky to get that position and have the annoyance of driving so far, because if I hadn't, I probably wouldn't have wanted content to listen to while I was driving, which wouldn't have, led to me maybe listening to the motivational stuff. That's kind of how I stumbled into it. And then from there, it's just been, off and on over the years of wanting to self-development. So it's funny that you got into it, YouTube as well, because that was me too.
Yeah.
Me now, it's a lot more audiobooks. I'm still listening to the
Yeah.
audiobooks. I'm listening to one right now. That's a motivational one by Patrick Bet-David. It's called Your Next 5 Moves. It's about
He's
planning
good, eh?
ahead, being 5. He's awesome. I found
Yeah.
him on YouTube through his podcast and
Yeah.
listen to his podcast all the time. So shout out PBD. One day I had a dream that PBD had me on his podcast. So one day maybe I'll be on his podcast.
He's
But
got an
I'm
amazing
going through his
story too,
books.
eh? Right.
Amazing story. He started doing gym sales,
Yeah.
funnily enough. Yeah, in his book, he talks about it. He
Yeah.
quit because he didn't get a promotion. That's the part I'm up to.
Yeah.
And then he went and did another thing. Crazy.
Yeah.
Health and fitness, man. It gets you into it. Oh, man. Yeah. So, okay. So the motivational stuff, I love it. I love that you're into it and that you still do it. I'm assuming you still listen to books and people and things like that as your
Yeah.
motivation. Who are you
Yeah.
listening to now?
Yeah.
Or who you reading now?
All over the place, really.
Yeah.
There's a few controversial ones that I take snippets from
Yeah.
because I think we YouTube and that it's really easy to judge people if they stuff
Yes.
up just once. Like they
Yeah.
might say one thing small, or it might
Yeah.
be a snippet that's been pulled out of context. But
Yeah.
like they might say 90% of everything
Mm-hmm.
is spot on,
Mm-hmm.
and then 10% on a
Yeah.
YouTube clip is a lot
Yeah.
to
Or
a lot
taken
of
out of
damage
context a lot
and
of the time.
taken
It
out of
is.
context. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so I listen to quite a few
Nice.
different people. I listen to, believe it or not, some stuff on religion as well,
Yep.
but I
Yep.
think
Nice.
about it completely differently. So when they mention things like God, etc.,
Mm-hmm.
I replace that word with all consciousness. Or if you
Mm-hmm.
think of something like source or creator or whatever
Mm-hmm.
your belief is, I
Yep.
replace it with that word and just listen to what they're saying, because
Yeah.
in between the stuff that you don't like, there's like
Mm-hmm.
so many gems of gold on how to live your life and how to be a good human. And
Definitely.
I think as humans, we tend to just look at the negative straight away and focus on
Yeah.
the thing that we don't like.
Or looking to bring people down. It's that mindset that you mentioned about people you grew up with,
Yeah,
right? Having that negative mindset.
yeah,
I
yeah,
see it everywhere. I see it
yeah,
everywhere, mate. In
massively.
in scenarios where you talk to someone about something and they're like, "Oh, don't do that," or the first reaction is like a negative reaction, and I'm
Yeah,
like, I'm not on that. I'm not on that level. I'm proactively trying to think on the level of
yeah.
thinking of the positive as best I can. Like anyone else, I go through ups and downs and negatives, and I go through spirals of belief and all that type of stuff. Um,
There's
Funny you say that
there's
about religion, because I'm on that journey too. I was an atheist for
yeah,
years, and and only recently I've been really opening myself up, and PPD is a big part of that too. That kind of
Yeah,
got me thinking, and I started listening to more people. Yeah, just opening my mind more, like, and just
yeah.
taking in the lessons learned in different scenarios. I don't know where I'm at, but I'm open to learning. I'm open to talking about it too.
As you go through the journey, if you learn more like about ancient history,
Yeah.
what you'll find is that all the religions say the same thing.
Mm.
Majority, right? There's some
Majority.
that it's just the human that has taken
Yeah.
it and twisted it to be
Mm.
whatever the hell they want it to be. But
Mm.
from if you go to the different countries and you look at the basis of the
Mm.
actual religion,
Mm.
it says the same thing. Like there's always some form of a holy trinity, whether it's the Father, the Son, the
Mm.
Holy Spirit, or whether it's sun, moon consciousness, or whether it's
Mm.
whatever it is. It's
Yeah.
basically all saying the same thing, and um, it I
Yeah.
find it really interesting, especially when you look back at really ancient history,
Mm.
past past what the West would call,
Mm.
our time frame.
Mm. It's,
Uh,
it's not until later in life where I've really, I don't know if it's as we get older or what it is, but you start thinking about life and existence and what are we here for and purpose. And, that's another reason why I want to do this
yeah,
podcast. I want to learn as much as I can. I honestly think if people are in a negative mindset or depressed or in any of those scenarios, one way out of it is to be open to start learning things, listening to other people talk.
yeah,
We don't know everything. We need to be open to listening other people's point of views, upskilling, getting knowledge. More knowledge you can get can only be better, right? That's what I think.
yeah.
Truly
So
believe that.
there's a guy called Luke Baumer. He's
Okay.
a really young guy, very successful. He talks about religion. He's in a way that's pretty understandable, pretty cool,
Yeah.
and how it's helped him. There's I'm jumping over a little bit, but one
Yeah.
of the controversial guys that I like to listen to every now and then is
Mm.
Wes Watson. I don't know if you know who Wes Watson is,
No, I
but
haven't heard of him.
I like a lot of my gold nuggets come from him.
Yeah.
He's a dude that was incarcerated for like 10 years. He's like super, super over the top alpha male, and that's where a lot
Mm.
of his message just gets missed because he's
Mm.
full blown gangster, been there, done that type thing,
Yep.
um, and just a little bit too aggressive for a lot of people.
Yep.
But if you listen to his message between the lines, it's like
Mm.
it's just truth, man. Like
Yeah, a lot of
it's
people
legit.
don't wanna hear truth. Even if they hear truth, a lot of people don't wanna hear things if it's delivered, if in the delivery. The delivery is what
Yeah,
throws a lot of people off, I've
yeah,
noticed. Because I listen to a few people that
yeah,
could probably be considered a bit too harsh.
yeah,
But I personally, I like being told straight up because then I
yeah.
can digest it and think about what I wanna take from it, and that's the
What
beauty of
it
listening online, you're not in.
here's a controversial one. We'll just go straight
Okay.
there. What do you think about the Tate brothers?
Interesting. I have been listening to them. I have listened to a lot of their stuff actually, because I'll listen to, everybody. You know what?
Yeah,
Just like you said, a lot of the stuff, uh, a lot of the message, I resonates with me. It's
yeah,
just some of the stupid stuff gets lost, like
yeah,
about being a man, being responsible, doing things. I agree on those points.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know if we're probably gonna, get canceled. This podcast will get canceled first episode because we talked about it. Well, it's already canceled before it starts. But a lot of the motivational stuff,
Yeah,
yeah, resonates with
yeah,
me. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
would say 90% of it is on point.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
delivery is where it
Yeah.
piss a lot of people off. Um,
Yeah.
his brother delivers it a lot nicer than
Yes.
the way he delivers it. Andrew Tate
Yeah.
delivers it, but
Yeah.
um, I think he helps more people than not.
Mm.
If that makes
I think
sense.
if I think for a lot of people say they're grifters trying to take advantage of young men. Well, I'm not a young man, and when I've listened to their points of view because I came to it the same way. I was like, oh, they're very controversial. Let me just have a listen and see what's going on.
Well,
Um,
here's the other thing, like, is who else are the young men gonna listen to? Their
yeah,
dads aren't home, bros.
That's how I know.
And he's not home, and he's obviously not doing the job if he is.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
then they
mate.
listen to someone like Tate. I mean, I'd love them to listen to someone like Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're not quite there yet. Maybe they
Yeah.
are. Who knows?
Maybe they are. Maybe they listen to
I think
both. Like,
that's a good
I listen to
combination.
everybody. I'm a big Rogan, Peterson,
Yeah,
probably a lot of the people that a lot of people
Rogan's
maybe on
mate.
the left would say are, toxic masculinity and things like that as the terms that get thrown
Oh,
around today, right? You know, get
yeah.
me started on that one. We could go down a dark
It's
path, a
you
dark
definitely
path.
you definitely get cancelled, mate.
We definitely get
Yeah.
cancelled. But I
I
truly
think,
believe
I think one
that
thing that drives me now is there's a massive hole in creating quality character
mm,
in just in the human race,
yeah,
like, with our youth and with the people coming through. I think,
yeah,
I think a lot of us and other generations are too far gone, too far past it. I think we need to
mm,
start instilling the behaviors in our youth and
yeah,
in the new people coming through, just quality behaviors and
yeah,
characteristics
yeah,
is what's gonna help people through life
yeah,
and and,
truly.
reduce a lot of this bullshit. Like, a lot of the arguments we're having, a lot of
Mhm,
the stuff that you see in social media now, it's only there because we have such a luxury lifestyle to be able to have these arguments. Like,
mhm,
we're not we're not
yeah,
in a country that's war torn. We wouldn't even
yeah,
have the thought
yeah,
to have these stupid arguments that we're having around
yeah.
toxic
Y y
masculinity if
You know what?
if we're getting bombed and we need
Yeah. You know who used to
you
say
know?
it? One of my first people I found, a guy called Greg Plitt. He was a fitness influencer,
Yeah, yeah,
absolute madman.
yeah,
If you remember, I used to talk about him. Um, Greg Plitt would always say, uh if you're in the jungle or in the bush and you're just trying to survive, you're not depressed. There is no such thing as
yeah,
depression when you're in a position of just fighting for survival. There's no time for it. Things like depression,
yeah.
he would say, would come because you got it too easy. You don't have purpose. Your life's too easy. You're bored. You're caught up trying to keep up with the Joneses, and the
Mhm.
luxuries of the first world countries. Is a lot of people, and I'll tie this back into just recently, like I was having a discussion with my wife about just how bad customer service is these
Yeah,
days everywhere you go. People aren't even taught values, and managers don't even seem to teach their staff these values anymore because people. It's just like this generation doesn't have customer service. I even see it on the roads, mate. People cutting in out of lanes,
yeah,
no indicator.
yeah,
Like they're too lazy to even put their damn indicator on. It just seems like I don't know if we're like if all older as you get older, everybody says this, but I feel like as I get older, I see it more and more. Bad service, no hello, no engagement. It's like you can tell they're depressed being there, working their jobs. And it's so sad to see. It's so sad to see. Like we went to a place, I'm gonna give them a shout out. I think it's Yochi in Karanya. It's a
yeah.
like a frozen yogurt place. There was a girl there. It was so busy, packed, massive line out the door. She gave everybody phenomenal service, so much so that when I left, I had to go up to her and I just said, "Look, I just want to let you know that the service that's the best service I've seen in forever. You were engaging, friendly, giving kids samples to try, asking people what they wanted, patting dogs, kissing babies, doing all that stuff. Like
Mm,
best service I'd seen." And it shocked everybody that we were out to dinner with because we're so used to seeing or they don't talk
yeah,
to you or
yeah.
that I know people listening, surely you see it everywhere and it's not just in Australia, I'm sure it's everywhere, but service these days and the attitude of people is just I don't know, what do you think it is? It's just terrible,
I
like
think it's, I think it's all our fault, bro. Like, I think we all need to take responsibility of,
bloody
like,
hell.
so for example, over the years, I've gone out to dinner with people, and the people that I'm sitting down next to treat the
Yeah,
waiters like shit.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
that's
like,
true.
I hate that. I hate that. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
just because
That's true.
you're a FIFO bogan that's making heaps of money doesn't mean that the waiter
Mm,
is less of a human than you are.
that's
You
so
know,
true.
like, back it up and treat this person with respect, and
Yeah,
then maybe they will treat you with better respect.
yeah, you're
And then I
100% right.
also think I also think it's our fault. It's our parents' fault for not teaching our brothers, our sisters, the youth,
Mm,
um, how to look after each other and how to not be
mm,
so self-focused and start,
yeah,
have a vision of service.
mm,
If you're waiting a table, how can you make this the best experience that I can for these people,
yeah,
right?
and
If you
that's
just walked
and
over to that table with that mentality,
yeah,
you're probably gonna enjoy yourself a lot more. The table's gonna
yeah,
love you, and then they're
yeah,
gonna give you a good report when they pay for their bill or whatever. I
yeah.
don't know how it
Which
works,
is
but
just what this girl did. This is literally what this girl did. And you know what? You're right. I said to her, I said, just keep up this attitude because regardless of where you are now, this attitude will get you so much further than everybody else. Because if I were hiring somebody, I would come to try to hire you over anybody else just by the experience I had with you. And that's
yeah,
what I feel like people
yeah,
they don't get. Um, I worked with a guy once. He started sales, and he was like, I would always ask people when I was at Kingsway, the Kingsway Good Life. I said to this young fella, I said, "So, what's your goal? Where do you want to be?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm going to work for the bank. My dad works in a bank. I'm going to get a job in the bank." Um, so I'm just here until I can pass some, he had to pass some things or whatever before he could go and get the job. But I'm like, well, work on doing sales here because if you can't sell someone a gym membership, you're not gonna be able to sell big home loans to businesses or this is a good place to practice. But he always
yeah,
took the piss, he never,
yeah,
I mean, he could sell, but he was the type that he would take the piss.
yeah. I
Anyway,
I
he
think
ended up
we're
leaving, getting the job, and I saw him a year later, and he had left the job. And I'm like, yeah, probably because you took that same shitty mentality. You're not just going to magically be a hero when you get that
yeah,
opportunity. You got to be the person now. So when the job comes, you're ready for it, as opposed to I'm not going to work hard because this is beneath me. And when I get that opportunity, I'm magically going to be that awesome person. I think that's what the youth doesn't realize. They
yeah,
think they're better than where they're at. So they're not willing to
yeah.
put in the effort, which would, if they just put in the effort, would get them to where they're at much quick, where they want to be much quicker.
I'll tell
At least
you
that's what
I'll tell you one experience that I've had. So about a year and a half ago, um, I went to a lot of home opens. So we bought
Yep.
the house that we're in right now about a year and a half
Nice.
ago. So, and obviously because of the sales background, like I judge every salesperson now, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
And
walk into
fair
these
enough.
home ops, and then like each and every one of them are just absolute dog shit, like service-wise.
Mm,
Like, absolutely useless, like, absolutely terrible. They didn't wanna learn anything about me.
mm,
Like, they and these are people, so they weren't youth, they were, full-grown adults in their working
mhm,
lives, etcetera. And, I was thinking about it afterwards, and I was like, "So, how we were talking about, what is it? What's the problem?"
mm,
Perth has obviously been through that massive boom for a long time, like,
mm.
especially in that sort of housing industry. Like, we've got
Yeah.
more people coming into Perth than the speed of the ability to build new houses, right?
Yeah.
Which is why the cost of bricks and everything's gone through the
Mm,
roof, and, the whole COVID thing, etcetera, as well.
yeah.
So these salespeople, they haven't actually had to sell because the
They're
house is
lazy.
sold. The
Yeah.
house is
You're
sold,
so right.
bro.
You're so right.
As lazy
Yeah.
as. So why would
Yeah.
I wanna learn about John? How many
Mm,
children he has? Are you
yeah.
buying this as an investment or are you looking to live here? And why,
Yep.
why would I go out of my way to find out, okay, who's John's wife? What does she like doing? Is she interested
Mhm,
in cooking, or does she imagine herself sitting in the lounge doing croquet or knitting, or like
mhm.
not learning about the people and giving them a quality service, and
Yep.
matching them to that property or to that house, or you know,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's
you're 100% right. They're spoiled by abundance, so they don't have to
yeah,
put in the work, so they don't put
yeah,
in the work. But I can tell you
no.
now, when it gets tough, they're done. Those ones are done. They're done
Oh,
because
yeah,
when it gets
done,
tough,
so
they
done.
they don't have
Yeah,
the skills
yeah,
or the want, and they'll get upset and
no,
frustrated. It's not as easy it used to be, and they'll quit. I feel like those types of people.
yeah,
I've seen it before.
hands
Seen
down.
before in the gym industry. You see people in gyms that do really well and they get tons of walk-ins and things
Yeah,
like that, and they have high
yeah,
traffic. You go put them in another location and they crumble. And that was the
Well,
test to see who could
it
actually sell.
it's a shame because it's,
Mm.
for years there, one of the easiest selling roles was to sell your Cert 3 and Cert 4 in fitness.
It was.
You know, they're like one
It
of
was.
the easiest roles to sell. Hey,
Yeah.
you could be a trainer, make 120 grand a year, spend most of your days lying in the sand on the beach, and then you can just train a few people in the afternoon. And every
It's that
every fat
easy.
person is gonna run through the door with their hands up saying, "Train me, train me, train me, and I'm gonna give you all my money." So
Yeah.
you sell a whole bunch of people who are
Yeah.
really passionate about health and fitness into
Yeah.
to doing this training course, and then they end up with us, and we're
Yeah.
like, "No, bro, you gotta graft. You gotta grind.
We
You
laughed.
gotta
We're like, "Oh, really? That's what you thought?"
you gotta learn how to talk to people. You gotta
Yeah.
find out why they're actually in here, and
Yep.
then you gotta, you gotta suss it out to see if,
Yeah.
how you can actually help them.
Yeah.
You gotta
Well, you
work them through, show results,
Yep.
be there for them,
I
encourage
wanna know
them.
what you think. I wanna know what you think of this. I spoke to a girl at one of the gyms we're cleaning at the moment, who is a salesperson who wanted to be a PT, and,
Yeah,
I said, "Well, this is a great place to learn," because I don't know how you feel about this, that some of the best no, I'll take that back. Some of the most successful trainers I've ever seen, um, weren't the best trainers when it came to
yeah,
guidance, training, and exercise. They were the best salespeople because I believe it doesn't matter how good you are at knowing the exercises and how good of you are at writing plans. If you can't sell the person to want to give you their money to give you the chance, they'll never know how good you are. And I feel like I've seen over the years so many great trainers who want to help people fail because they can't sell themselves out of a wet paper bag. They can't get the clients to give them the money to
yeah,
show them how good they are at trainers. And that's what they don't teach them in those bloody schools. They don't teach them that sales is the number one thing. You need to be
yeah,
the best salesman, and only then can you have them to teach them how to get things, like
yeah,
to get the results.
yeah.
It's a damn shame that
It
that
is a
happens
damn
because
shame. Yeah,
I'm sure you see it all the time. Well, you've seen it all the time too.
but I
Right.
saw it massively, especially around that gym industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I think it's I think there's two sides of that coin. I think
Mm,
you're definitely 100% correct on the sales side.
mm,
I think that if you're like a super gun trainer, you don't need to necessarily sell yourself. But
mm,
the flip side is you need to be able to be in the game long enough to have all the
mm,
skin in the game to be that
mhm.
gun trainer like Kevin
Yeah.
Trans and
Yeah.
not have to sell yourself, right?
Yeah.
Um,
That's
I don't
right.
know Kevin personally, but
Oh,
I
yep, yep.
watched him on there, and you can just tell that he's got skin in the
Yeah.
game.
Yes.
He knows his shit. He knows how to
Yeah.
work with real humans, so general population, not just
Yeah.
athletes that are the easiest people to work with. The athletes are the easiest people to work with. General pop's the hardest.
Yeah.
Um, and so he doesn't need to be the best person at selling because he's genuine. He
Yeah.
knows his stuff. He's got a
Mhm.
full book. It's just going to sell himself.
But you gotta
Whereas
get to that point.
if
You
you're
gotta
if
get
you're
to
just
that point.
starting out
Mm,
and you need to pay the rent and you need to show up and you need to
mhm,
pay the bills and
mhm,
you want to earn
mm,
quickly, you need to learn how to connect with humans, talk to
mhm.
humans,
Yep.
inspire them,
Yep.
keep them on track, and all of
Mhm.
that is an art. And
Yeah.
yeah, people aren't just going to run in the door to for you to just teach them how to deadlift day in and day out. Like
It'd be nice if
that's
they
not
did.
how it works.
That's not
Yeah,
how it works, unfortunately.
it's not how
Most
it
people
works at
who are
all.
scared to walk in a gym are gonna also be
Yeah,
scared to invest their money,
yeah,
into doing that said thing. It's so true, and I think it's true in many other areas in life. In any job, if you're
yeah,
wanting to get promotions or get ahead, you gotta be able to interact with humans. I think that's getting harder and harder with technology
yeah.
and everything that's
Um,
coming along.
one thing that I guess one lesson that I learned very quickly, um, or realization that I had that made me a good PT manager when I
Mm,
was finding out that you don't need to be, like, following on from what you said, you don't need to be the best technical trainer
Mm,
to have a full book of PT
mm,
clients. Because
yeah.
I remember, like, when I came fresh out of uni, had my uni degree in sport and exercise science, so I was like Mr. Technical,
Hmm,
and it
yeah.
being a young guy, I would just judge people from their form, and other
Mhm,
trainers, I would be like, "What the fuck is this trainer teaching this person X, Y, and Z?"
mm,
Um, and then, one day I was driving past, I can't remember what the outdoor group fitness, it was like this big outdoor group fitness rave. I can't remember what the name of it was, but
mm,
for a couple of years there was like heaps of them all throughout Perth. But it would be some young blonde bimbo with about 30 fatties doing exercises that I would just be waiting for their Achilles or their knees to pop.
mm,
Like, just thinking, "Man, what are these people doing?" And
yeah.
then
But they don't know.
one
They
day I
don't
was
know.
literally driving past though, and I was like, "Hey, look, those 30 people aren't training with me
Mm,
scientifically, and you know what? They probably don't want to train with me, and they probably won't ever want to train with me
mm,
because I'm not their person, right?"
mm, mhm,
That young bimbo who's doing all the wrong exercises technically, you know
mm,
what? Maybe they are the right exercises for those people in this point in time because they're not
mm,
sitting on the couch eating potato chips. They're out
yeah.
there training with that person. And that was like a big realization
That's
to
big.
allow me to get, like we had 16 trainers in Brookfield Place, one of the
Mm,
smallest gyms out,
yeah.
but they were all different and they were
Mm,
guns. Like they were gun
yeah,
trainers for the thing that they were doing.
yeah.
So, like I do, circling back around,
Mm,
you don't need to be the best technical trainer to be able to impact other people's lives and train them and
mm,
get them on the right stage. I think you just need to have your focus dialed in on who you're going to work with. Be yourself,
the people. Yeah,
1000%.
yeah.
Learn how to sell, like you
Mm,
said, and
mm.
uh, and you can have your dream and chase it.
Yeah, I think it's so true. And look, the thing that they're doing is they've got them there. They've managed to get them out and about, and that's so true. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Even if we might people who know a little bit more about the technique and thing might look at it and go, "What the hell are they doing?" These people are getting these people moving,
yeah.
and
It's like,
that might
well,
be the beginning of their journey. They might realize that and then find, but
yeah,
at least they're into the flow of
yeah,
actually looking after themselves better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so
And,
true.
like, I see it all the time, like, used to be in gyms and you'll have, like, that technical trainer bagging out the
Mm,
other trainer, and I'll
mm.
be like, "Bro, they don't wanna train with you." Like,
Yeah.
they're
And
over
that's you.
there
That's on you, buddy.
yeah, they're over there training with Carlos because they just
Yeah.
wanna chat to Carlos for 35 minutes to talk about the divorce that they're going through while they're running on the treadmill. But they
Yeah.
don't wanna be over here deadlifting with you because they just don't wanna do that with you.
Yeah. They
And
don't
you
see
know
the
what?
value in it.
That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's so
hey,
crazy. That's so true.
you know,
That's so true.
like,
It's a bit of that negative mindset that they've got, blaming other people why these people aren't with me. It comes back to that people
yeah,
with that negative mindset, right?
yeah,
Of why aren't they with me because I know more, or I'm
yeah.
better, or whatever. Whereas the other person might not be as good as you, but at least they've done something. They've got something that's convinced those people to
And
come to them and stay
I
with
only
them.
s I only say this shit because I learned the hard way, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
well, as we all did, as we all
yeah.
did
When
when
I
it comes to
first came over into the gym industry, like, I still wear hoodies, but,
yeah,
like, I would walk into the gym with my hoodie on. I'd have baggy pants, like,
gangster.
some little a homeboy from New Zealand, Gisborne on the East Coast, walking in,
Uh,
like, with a bit of a swag and a little bit of an attitude.
yeah.
It's like, no wonder why I didn't have full book straight away. No wonder why,
Mhm.
you gotta, you gotta become someone new. You gotta change, right?
Yeah. So
Which I
how
did.
did and you've changed even more since then, right? So how did that? Because we
massively.
weren't talking in those years. How did that lend you to getting into what you're doing now? Like, how did you go from that to let us know what you're
To
doing? And then,
to be honest, man, I just stuck it out. I just stuck it
yeah,
out. So right now, I work for a big mining company.
yeah,
I look after the health and well-being section of that
hmm,
company, and I manage um, 12 health and wellbeing advisors. So they are
cool,
all located on different mine sites throughout
yeah,
WA,
yeah,
and I won't go into it too much because it's a massive scope. Like we look after
yeah,
injuries, we
okay,
promote health campaigns, diabetes, nutrition, awareness of
yeah,
certain things like truck drivers, how to get their blood pressure down and do
mm,
cholesterol checks and um, if they're injured and returning back to work, how can we assist them through that process?
hmm,
If they're injured and like, do we actually need to fly them off site, or can we help them with a little bit of physio and um, like really trying to help keep their health together on site. And that's just, parts of the physical part. We look
mm,
after the gyms up there, we run group fitness classes, we run
right.
social events to keep people, keep that
Wow.
camaraderie up and get people
Hmm.
connected after work.
Yeah.
Provide there's something so that they're after work, they're not just going down, sitting down with their friends, having a couple of beers, bitching about
Mm,
work. They've actually got something
yes.
else to think about.
Something positive to do,
Yeah,
because that's a big problem, isn't it? I have
yeah,
another friend who was working in the mines, and he was into fitness, but he fell into that trap for a little bit, I think, of
yeah,
drinking and,
yeah,
just, because they're tired or whatever, and there's not
yeah,
much else to do up where they're at, so they end up just getting into that habit of drinking.
yeah.
So
It's
that's
and
great that you.
yeah, to me, it's a cultural thing. Like,
Mm,
I mean, there's lots of people that work long days in Perth,
mm,
and they can do just the same, right?
mm,
I think, I
that's
think,
right.
I think we use mining as an excuse. I think
Mhm,
mining gets a really, really bad rap because they're under the microscope. Like, if one person does something wrong,
mhm,
BHP gets a bad name, not
mm,
that person. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
But if in your small community around where you are, if one person does something wrong, you probably don't even hear about it,
that's right.
right? And it's
Yeah,
their fault,
yeah,
and they
that's right.
they get the discipline. Whereas
Mm,
mining, it's blown up because everything's under the microscope. So
mm,
um, yeah, I think we almost babysit them a little bit too much in some instances.
mm.
Um, whereas, sometimes we just need to say, "Stop being a gazelle and sack up."
I was waiting before we got to the gazelle talk. There's a lot of
And
gazelles out there.
again, it's how you look at it, man. Like, you're up there,
Yeah.
all your food gets made for you. It's all free.
Mm,
You got a nice air-conditioned diner to sleep in, um,
mm,
on most sites. You've got a lot of good things to look
mm,
forward to in mining. I think
yeah,
it's really easy to start hanging around the wrong people and then getting stuck into that sort of environment and get dragged down. Um,
yeah.
whereas there's mining crews, like the different crews that come in, and
Mhm,
you'll see the difference between the crews. Maybe we put on an 8-week challenge, and
yeah,
the whole crew started coming down. And once they
nice.
get that shift, like that whole crew
Mm,
will they'll continue on because it's like a whole
yeah,
environment
yeah.
of people helping each other and assisting each other. So
It
it's a good
really
place to
does.
get to.
It really is. Like, I remember when we would do challenges in the gyms, right? Like, I think putting people through, I mean, you see it in lots of in, like, in big things in war. When people fight together or they're in wars together, they get that camaraderie, right? The same thing with
Yeah, man.
team sports. Like, when you put people through, and I think it's a great thing for businesses, is to get their teams into health and fitness, because when people train
Yeah,
together and go through struggles and overcome those struggles together, it does bring them closer and they
yeah,
will work together better. It can only help the business, I think, and the team stay together. I'm a big believer in that, and so that's so good that you do that. It's so good
yeah.
that the mining, they got the money to, I guess, will give you the money to do
It's
that.
it's interesting that you brought that up. I was chatting with someone about retention and stuff in mining the other day,
Mm,
and that they start to build all these big fancy mines, right?
hmm.
And I was chatting to this it was actually my to-be father-in-law. Um,
Yeah.
I was chatting to him and I was like, "Look, from what I understand about human behavior, the reality is that we don't need to build massive fancy mining camps to
Hmm.
get people to stay because they're doing 13, 14 fucking hours anyway.
Mm,
But
that's right.
afterwards, like, they don't need all this fancy stuff. I think what it comes
Mm,
down to is they really what we need to do is, make sure that they understand why they are there in the first place.
mm,
So you might have 60% of your truck drivers just driving trucks mindlessly because
mm.
they're there to collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
They might not know the positive impact that they're having for the company. But why
Mm,
aren't we why aren't we teaching them that, bro, if you're hitting these loads a day and we're doing this safely,
mm.
this is what's actually happening. You're saving
Yeah.
us this much money. You're making this, and this is how it impacts the rest of the company. Like
Yeah.
giving them a purpose for being there,
Purpose.
and a feeling of that they're contributing. And then the next
Yes.
thing is making sure that that whole team, like they that they pull through the struggle together.
Hmm.
Right? It's like the camaraderie after everyone
Mm.
pulls through and they finally hit that last sale that gets everyone across the line. As a
Yes.
collective, bang,
Yeah.
everyone chipped in,
It's a
everyone put
high.
in,
It's
and
a high.
and
Like
that
it is.
builds the bonds,
Yeah.
right? It builds that camaraderie, and if you can get people that purpose, you've got just the bare necessities, but you build
Hmm.
that camaraderie, you build that, that community of people, but they're
Hmm.
not gonna leave for a 5 grand pay rise somewhere else.
That's right. If you love where you work, if you love doing what you're doing, it's
Yeah,
having purpose. I think whether people know it or not, I think everybody wants, once you feel it, everybody needs purpose and then wants purpose. They want
yeah,
to feel wanted, needed, and then
yeah,
that's on leadership and management to. I always believe, right, that the job of a manager, in my last 4 years of managing at UFC, I tried my best, is to just not do the work for people, but to make it a place where they wanted to be so they would do the work. That's
yeah,
all I cared about. That's
fantastic.
all I cared about, was just trying to make it fun, trying to be, I would make myself the clown, whatever I had to do to try and bring people together. I don't always, as with everything, you don't always succeed and you fail a lot of the times,
Yeah,
and as I did many times. But my goal was always, make it a place where people want to be. So
mhm,
one, people don't leave, so I don't have to spend all my time trying to find new people and train new people, because that takes up so much time and money and resources and energy. I don't know
yeah,
if you ever experienced it when you're managing the gyms, when you're constantly having to hire and train people, it drains you as a leader. So then you put
bro,
more strain on everybody else, getting
yeah,
them to help train. So if you can keep everybody, one, it gives, and this is for any business, if people have been working there for a long time and they like working there, your job as a leader, as an owner or whatever, is so much easier, because you don't need to focus on hiring and training or dealing with issues. You can focus on providing good service, making the place better, as opposed to just trying to chase your tail all the time. That was the biggest lesson I took from it. So doing that stuff, like getting them into challenges and getting the camaraderie, and
mhm.
that should be the number one goal for any business, I think,
Oh,
because
mate,
that makes your life easier in the long run.
hands down. They they wanna be there, and what I find is that it makes it more likely that they'll wanna be there for each other, and when you get
Yes.
to that point, when Sandra's off sick, right?
Hmm. Mhm.
they're not gonna roll their eyes and go, Fuck, Sandra's off sick again. Now we all
Mhm.
gotta work harder." They're
Mhm.
gonna go, "Oh, like, I hope Sandra's okay. We're down 1
Yes.
today. Let's all pick up, make sure that we can, you know,
Yeah.
do the things that we need to do." It's a
Yeah.
complete different flip of script,
Yeah,
right?
and, it's easier said than done because, yeah, as people are as we mentioned before, everybody has different
Yeah,
agendas and different things, but I think that's the
yep,
goal of the leader is to find out what everybody's goals are or, wants are, and then find
yeah,
out what they can get out of that job. I always a big believer of this might not be your job where you want to be, but you can take things from this that you can apply to the next thing that you do. Like the
mhm,
sales aspect of it. If you can get great
mhm,
at sales, that could help you get your next job interview. You could ace the interview because you're better at selling yourself or reading the
yeah.
person that's interviewing you. So you can pick up those skills here to help you get that next thing. Um, but a lot easier said than
I
done.
find, I find if you can find a common purpose where
Yeah,
where everyone's focused. So if there's a clear vision for the business or for
yeah.
whatever it is you're in, the team, if there's a clear vision and a clear purpose, then as long as you've got a leader who is very respectful,
Mhm,
and very clear, they have
mhm,
that common purpose, then you can get people who have differences and different
mhm.
personalities. As long as we're all focused on this up here, everyone can actually work towards it and get it.
That's right.
But if that purpose is not clear, if that vision's not clear, um,
Yeah,
and if the instruction isn't clear and expectations aren't clear, then
yeah,
people can't work with each other. People are all
yeah,
over the place,
yeah.
um,
Fighting,
and then
infighting,
yeah,
people thinking they deserve more than the other
backstabbing,
person.
throwing each other under the bus.
We should do a
It's
leadership seminar.
The Hunger Games, bro.
The Hunger Games. It is the Hunger Games.
Literally,
Like,
literally.
I always thought, like, if I could find the person who wants the promotion, cool, then I can push them in this is what you need to do to get the promotion. And for the
Yeah,
person who just wants to show up and get paid because they're happy just doing that,
yeah,
so they can go do other things in life, then it would be about making that part of it fun for them, helping the other people get there. If you can make it all work together, put them all like little cogs
yeah,
into the machine, then you can achieve. Everybody can get what they want out of the place. And I think
yeah.
you know we all dedicate so many hours of our life to working to pay to just to live.
Mhm.
If you hate what you do and you hate going to work and you hate doing all that stuff, which I feel like a lot of people do,
Yeah,
it can make life very I think when people get in that mindset, it's hard to appreciate the beauty of life and all the things that we so lucky for in where we live, right?
mhm,
Like where we are, we're so
mhm.
lucky where we are, and people forget that so quickly, and that happens when you're not when you don't have purpose in your day to day life.
Yeah, yeah.
What would you suggest? Like, I know we haven't talked about it, but you've got some stuff going on, and one of the things that when I saw your posts coming up, that's not putting it lightly. I don't know. I actually don't even know how to branch into that conversation or when you want to get to that. But I feel
Yeah,
like you've
neither
got a
do I.
unique. I think you've got a unique perspective, right? So
Yeah, yeah,
of like honestly, we might as well get into it because we're an hour
yeah.
in, so we might as well get into
It's
it. Do you want to do it?
let's
Let's do
rip
it.
into it, man. Yeah,
We've been catching up.
let's
So
go. Is an
honestly,
hour too long? Like, do we need to do a
no, no,
part
no.
2 or, like, what's the
No,
go?
no, no, no. We'll just go as long as we go.
Yeah,
Again, this is like, creating the courage is just we're just gonna go
yeah,
through it and we're just doing it. Raw,
yeah.
this is it. So, if you can maybe give the people listening, maybe a bit of a rundown of what you're going through, but I kind of want to preface it in that um, I'm so inspired by you and what you're not just what you're going through and how you're dealing with it, but, like I said, I felt like it was meant to be for me to see those posts, sorry, that you were doing. Having not talked for 7 years, to see these
Yeah,
posts come up,
yeah,
right? Like,
yeah,
um, and going, I shudder to kind of say everything happens for a reason because I don't want to put that on you for what you're going through, because I don't know how to feel about that. But seeing those
It's
posts and me
definitely
talking to
happening for
you,
a reason.
you think like so?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
See, like I'm struggling to come up with the words for it. But do you want to maybe give everybody a breakdown of what you're going through right now and how you're? Because I think this ties perfectly into create the courage and being positive
yeah,
and
yeah.
having a
I'll
positive
just
mindset,
I'll
and
just
how
rip
that
the
can affect
Band-Aid
your.
off,
Yeah,
and then
like,
we can
let us
go
know
from there.
what's going on with you right now.
So I'm 6 weeks, maybe almost seventh weekend. So I would say 7 weeks ago, I was officially diagnosed with stage 4 lymphoma cancer, so Hodgkin's lymphoma. Um, and it it came out of nowhere. So
Yeah,
preceding that, so 7 weeks ago, I think, what does that bring us to? I don't even know what the date is then.
it would have
Um,
been late November when we talked.
yeah,
So maybe you said a couple months before that when you started not feeling well.
yeah,
I think.
it's preceding that, it's about 2.5 months
Yeah,
that it had taken for it to come on.
yeah,
Or that's the estimated time frame, and that's the estimated. It was about 2.5, 3 months of me noticing symptoms that
yeah.
slowly progressed.
Hmm.
Um, and then the specialists, excuse me, after all their analyses, um, uh, and checking everything out, they were like, yeah, 2-3 months, it can come on very, very rapidly, and literally out of nowhere. Like,
That's
so
crazy.
when you get diagnosed with these sorts of things, you start thinking about all the stupid shit that you've done over the
Hmm.
years, like, you know, drugs that you've done,
Hmm.
copious amounts of alcohols for long periods of time, being
Hmm.
exposed to agricultural chemicals when you're younger, um,
Hmm.
spraying weeds and getting covered in all sorts of different
Mm.
chemicals that we used to use.
I'm sure your mind
Um,
would race, right?
yeah, well, you just start thinking about this sort of stuff.
Mm.
So I was thinking about everything, and the doctors were literally, they were just like, "No, mate, like, your blood's fine. Like, everything looks
Mm.
really, really good. Your organs are fine. Everything looks good. It's just literally just come out of nowhere." Um, COVID chat.
Mm. Yeah, well,
Yeah. So, so anyway, it just came out of
mm.
nowhere. About, do you want me to talk about the symptoms preceding, or
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
like, yeah,
if you're open to,
yeah.
because I think, yeah, it can
So,
help, maybe hopefully help someone else.
um, very busy time at work, very busy time in life, but I was pulling, super long hours at work, still basically still FIFO hours, even though I was based in the city,
Yeah.
and not because I needed to, but because I was driven by passion
Mm.
and trying to do the right thing for the team, right? Team
Yeah,
focused.
yeah.
Um, and when you're driven like that, you do whatever it takes.
Mhm.
So I was just putting in the long hours, etc. And I started noticing that my cardiovascular system wasn't what it's normally like. So my
Yeah,
breathing was getting heavier. We did like a fire drill, and we had to walk back up the stairs afterwards, and I was sucking that oxygen in like it was a mission. Um,
yeah, wow.
so then I just thought, I need to look at myself in the mirror because I'm getting a bit chunky, a bit sloppy.
Mhm.
Even though I was training, there's a difference between training to train and
Mhm.
training for something, for
Yeah,
for
that's
a
right.
purpose or for a goal, right? So I was just training just to move, and because I've done it all my life, I just continue to do it, right? But there was
Yeah.
no specific purpose behind it. So I felt myself getting, yeah, the breathing wasn't working too well. So what I did is I tidied up my nutrition a little bit,
Mhm.
um, but more sort of bodybuilder focused nutrition. Multiple meals a day, plenty of carbohydrates, high protein,
Mm.
lower fat, and and was just lifting heavy as I normally do, and then doing a little bit
Mm-hmm.
of boxing as well. Going along through that month, my cardiovascular levels still got worse, and
Mm.
my body didn't respond how it normally does. When I'm usually full of carbs,
Yeah.
my energy levels go high. I get strong as fuck,
Yeah.
and and the weight starts to drop off.
Mm.
But it never did, and it usually happens pretty quickly when I
Mm.
change something. So I thought, well, I'm getting a little bit older, so it's probably
Slowing down
slowing
metabolism,
down,
maybe. Yeah.
all the things. So I'm probably going to have to be even more strict on the nutrition side of things.
Yeah.
Breathing got a little bit worse. So I got stricter on the nutrition side of things, started dropping the carbohydrates because I got plenty of fat to burn, got plenty of
Mm-hmm.
excess sitting there. So, I'm
Mm.
not going to starve to death. Um, and and upped the cardio just a little bit more. And my cardiovascular system still got worse. And then my
Mm.
left arm started going blue while I was training.
Oh, that must have been
So like
scary.
I'd do like a set of 20 bicep curls and supersetted with a set of 20
Yeah.
tricep push downs. And because that would pump so much blood into your arms, my venous return on my right arm's fine, so the blood would exit. But on
Mm-hmm.
the left side, it was obviously getting blocked by something, so it would just
Mm.
start going blue, and it would stay blue for like a
Shit.
minute or so, and it would slowly return, and then I'd do another set. Um,
Yeah.
but look, like I didn't really freak out too much, to be
Mm.
honest with you. I was just like, hey, look, we got dodgy hearts in the family. Maybe I've had like a little bit of a heart attack in my sleep, and I've
Mm.
got cholesterol there.
Mm.
And I was cocky enough to think I can just fast this and reverse the cholesterol with nutrition. That's no big
Mm.
deal. Um, so I started doing even more nutrition, and the symptoms still persisted to a
Mm.
point to a point where that we didn't mention, but I've got a baby due on the 26th of February.
I know.
So that's
Congratulations, by the way, and
Cheers.
congratulations to
Cheers, mate.
for the engagement too, mate.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Christmas
just
time we got
recently engaged,
engaged.
yeah, right?
So,
Yeah.
um, so with all of that on the way, and with my physicality declining and
Yeah.
nothing changing, even though we're putting the basic sort of functions in
Mm.
place of a healthy human, start sleeping
Yeah.
better, drink plenty of water, eat the right nutrition, and move the body.
Yeah.
And nothing was really improving. The thing that got me to go and see the doctor was actually I saw a couple of guys walk past, and I just had this thought, right? Because
Mm.
males, we sort of check each other out to see who's
Mm.
alpha, and like it's just a natural thing. Ladies, it's a natural thing that is in our brains,
Yeah.
um, and we don't need to think about it. It's human nature.
Yeah, it's
I saw
human
these
nature.
guys walk past, and I was like, I don't think if something happened to my partner and my
Mhm.
newborn or baby to be,
Mhm.
I don't think I could look after them or look after myself in a physical altercation right now because my
Mm.
breathing was that bad,
Mm.
and uh, and I just felt like I couldn't handle myself. And I've always been someone who
Mm.
was able to handle myself because I've always been, done some boxing and martial arts,
I've
etc.
seen you hit the bag, so
Right.
yes. Yes.
And so that's what got me to go to the doctor. So I booked it in
Yeah.
straight away. Um, I finally researched a pretty good doctor in Perth and went and saw him. And thankfully, he checked out my heart. Heart's fine. Checked ECG on. Checked everything. Everything looked fine.
Mhm.
Um, and then he did a quick X-ray of my chest and
Mhm.
found just a mass in the center of my chest, roughly right about here, and about the size that I'm showing you. It was literally just there, and he was like, "Look, I
As in,
can't
like,
tell you."
shaped like this, or
Yeah,
so it's literally shaped like
yeah.
a circle?
So it's sort of like that. So
Fucking hell.
it sort of comes up across this way, right? Um, and he was like, "Look, I can't tell you what this is. I've got no idea, but you need to go to A&E right now. Go and get it
Bloody
checked out."
hell.
So I feel like I'm waffling on a little bit too much.
No,
So I
no,
went to
please.
A&E.
Yeah,
I went to A&E. My partner came with me. Obviously, um, she was quite a bit freaked out.
I
Um,
reckon.
and w- yeah, we're just sitting in A&E, and as you know, A&E is um, always pretty hectic in there.
Yeah, long wait
Yep,
times,
yep.
definitely.
Got what scan did I get? I think I got a CT scan and some other things, and they blood tested me like 4 different times. They asked me to stay in there overnight. They woke me up at 2:30 in the morning, gave me another blood test, and um, then I got to see the specialist the next morning, and they were like, "We think that you've got cancer. We think that you've got lymphoma, but we just need to do a biopsy." Um, excuse me. We need to do a
Alright.
biopsy and a what they call a PET scan, which is like head to toe with
Mhm.
radioactive fluid and the big scanner. We need to do a PET scan just to see exactly where everything is, how big it is,
Mhm.
and exactly what type of cancer it is. Which fast forward led us to that date where I got the initial diagnosis,
Yep.
and they wanted to put me on aggressive chemo straight away. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where was your
Um,
head when they told you about the mass? Like, where was your head at then? What were you thinking? Like,
so it's it's really sort of hard to describe because my
yeah.
mentality's changed so much over the years. Like,
Mm.
it, I don't want to sound too cocky, but like I was pretty
No,
good.
just be you, yeah, do
Like
yourself.
I got that initial adrenal sort of hit. Like,
Mhm.
oh shit, like
Yeah.
something's wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm still sort of laughing at the same time.
Mm.
Like shit. What the fuck have I got myself into here?
Mm.
Um, but I guess I really don't know how to describe it. Like I'm pretty rock solid.
Yeah,
Like
look, you
like
that's
bro, like it something's there. I
mm,
knew it. It's shit. Like
mm,
fuck. Like I shouldn't have. You know, shouldn't have done all these things in the past,
mm,
or whatever's created this.
yeah,
Um, you know, then but that's like a fleeting moment because I'll definitely catch myself. It's like you can't
mm,
change shit. You can't change what you've done. Um,
yeah,
like
it's
or
past.
whatever's brought this on. Like
Mm,
I've talked to other people, even if it was the 3 COVID jabs that I had to take.
mm,
Like so, it's like I've still got it. Like
yeah, it doesn't
sitting there
change the
complaining about it ain't gonna change shit.
yeah, it doesn't
Um,
change the fact.
so I guess where my head was at was like, okay, let's see exactly what it is, find out exactly what it is, and then
Yeah,
that brought us to the day where we got the exact diagnosis. Um, like, and then so we got the exact diagnosis, and they wanted to put me on chemo straight away. And I don't know if you know this about me, but like
mm,
I just did not want to do chemo. That was like the
mm,
last resort. I was
mm,
hoping that I was hoping he was at least going to say, "Hey, look, you've got approximately 8 months to live. Um, it's at this stage, blah blah blah." Then I would have done my research, found who I could in
mm,
Mexico or in the Amazon, and gone and did some ayahuasca or had some shaman ceremonies and got rid of it a different
Mm,
way. Um, but the fact that I've got a baby on the way, it's not just
mm,
about it's not just about me. I got to think about other people.
yeah.
Um, it's advanced stage 4, which means it was starting to come out of my lymph system and starting to merge with my chest wall.
Hmm.
Thankfully, it wasn't merging with any vital organs like kidneys or liver or the heart or anything like that, um,
Yeah.
from what they could tell, because that's the worst type thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it was because it's starting to spread into other
Mm,
areas, like your muscle is an organ, so it's starting to
yeah.
spread into other areas. They wanted to just
Bloody
treat
hell.
it like straight away, and this particular doctor that gave me the news sort of expected me just to roll over and be like,
Mm,
"Yeah, let's start it." Um,
mm,
but I only just got told. It's like,
yeah.
bro, like,
It's
give
like
me
they're
what's
rushing
the
you through it,
protocol?
eh?
What's the protocol? Like, give me the information. What are
Mm,
these drugs? What are these, 6 different chemotherapy drugs you're gonna put me on? And
mm.
what are the side effects? Like, what's going on here?
Do you feel like
But look,
they explained it, or like,
no
or is it
way,
more rush, rush, rush?
no
Just
way.
do as you're told.
Yeah, yeah, hands down. I think it was a combination of maybe I didn't grasp the severity of the situation because he did have to tell me that you've got less than 2 months to live if you don't take this option,
Mm,
um, which is the chemotherapy, the aggressive chemotherapy option. And
mhm,
um, but it's maybe I just didn't like the way that he explained it. I
mm,
don't know what it was, but I was sitting in that office and he already had me booked apparently for this chemo, and I was
without
like,
talking to you.
yeah. I was like, "Look,
Mm,
you've just told me and my partner right now," and my
mm,
partner's sitting there trying to hold it together, because it's a
mm,
shock to her. She's,
yeah,
fully pregnant,
yeah,
so there's lots of things that are going through her mind,
yeah,
and, so I think other people probably would've just he's probably just used to people rolling over and going, "Save me, save me,
yeah,
save me." Um, but I was
mm,
like, I gotta check it out, like, at least give me a couple of hours to
mm,
look over it. Um,
yeah,
so then he actually gave me a week,
yeah.
and then,
A
yeah, I was
week's a lot
able
longer than a
to.
couple of hours, isn't it? Bloody hell.
It is,
A
mate,
week. Yeah,
especially if it's super urgent.
yeah.
I think he just wasn't happy that he
Mm,
didn't get his way, so he was sorta like, "Stuff you, get out of here." Um,
bloody
so
hell.
yeah, very bad bedside manners, mate. He definitely
Yeah.
didn't come from a sales role, tell you that. Um,
Bloody hell. Can I
yeah.
ask, so when they say you've got less than 2 months to live, what do they mean? Like, obviously, I know what they mean, but, like, as in you'll just
So
not wake
if you
up, drop dead, like,
if,
or, like,
um
what's the deal? Like, what do they mean by that?
if you come back to how quickly this came
Mhm.
on, like, so they
Yeah.
they're talking a 2.5 to 3 month period that it had
Yeah.
grown that quickly, and what it was doing is it's pushing my heart down, pushing my lungs to the side, coming up the side of my neck. Obviously, other lymph nodes were slightly swollen, but
Mhm.
just so it was 13 centimeters long and I think approximately 10 centimeters deep. So, like, it's quite
Bloody
a
hell.
big mass sitting
Yeah.
there. So just imagine another couple of months of that expanding. It's like it's already
Yeah,
cutting
okay.
off the blood return
Yeah,
from
okay.
this arm. Um, all it needs
Yep.
to do is grow big enough to cut off a few arteries, and you
Yeah, and
catch you later,
then you're done.
right? So, and because it was starting to merge with the chest wall, once cancers, I think, start to merge with other areas, you don't want
Yeah.
them getting
Mm.
into your heart, into your bone. Um,
Yeah. Bloody
So
hell, mate.
yeah, look, I don't know that I don't. Yeah, I think they were just they just predicted that you'd have 2 months and then you'd be,
Okay.
if that.
Yeah.
They didn't say you were going to be in excruciating pain or anything, because I really didn't feel any pain.
Yeah. Just
Just
the shortness of breath and tired
shortness of
and
breath, a lack of performance. My strength was starting to drop rapidly in the gym.
yeah.
Um, yeah, I could walk around fine, but if I tried to move quickly, like, yeah, there was even, looking back on it, there was heaps of brain farts, like heaps of brain fogginess, and
Mm,
sometimes how we've been talking now is we've been going backwards and forwards, but if I
mhm,
think back to it, sometimes I'd have to go and then talk again, like stop and have a pause and then
mm,
take a big breath. Whereas,
yeah.
yeah,
How do you so you've been doing the chemo for how long now? 4 weeks?
6 or 7 weeks,
6
6 or
weeks,
7
7
weeks.
weeks now you've been doing it.
Yeah, yeah. So this is yeah, it'll be coming up to the 7th week.
So this is coming up on the time where they said you could be gone, essentially, from
So
when they told.
yeah, probably,
Bloody hell. So
probably.
I'm
So we
assuming
tick the box
and
there.
now I just wanna not to make light of anything, but this is how
Yeah,
inspiring you are. You're still working out. You're still going on walks,
yeah,
going on rides. You're an
yeah,
absolute savage.
yeah.
Like, honestly,
So,
mate, I
like,
don't
so
know how you find the courage,
I
strength.
guess, uh, like, here's the facts, right? Like, we we've been lucky enough. So here we go. I'm lucky enough to be in a country where, and in a situation where we could catch this. I could
Yeah,
notice that something was going on,
yeah.
and I was in a location where I could go to a doctor, and that
Mm,
doctor was good enough to scan me straight away and do the
mm.
right things. And
Not
then,
make you wait.
like, going into, um, what's the hospital in Netherlands? Sir Charlie Gardner Hospital, one
Okay,
of the best oncology places I believe that you can go to,
okay.
right at my doorstep, right?
Mm,
Go in there. Um, I'm lucky enough to be able to get a solid diagnosis.
mm.
Do you know what I mean? So we know what it
Yeah,
is. We know that it's no good for you, but I can't fucking change that, right?
mm,
Um, I bit the bullet. I have to get this chemotherapy, which is a really high dose. Um, but I'm lucky enough that I had a high enough body mass. I'm young enough. They know the
mhm,
chemotherapy is not going to kill me before it kills the cancer. Well, that's the theory.
mhm.
So, like, I'm in the best place that I can be to
To
kick
fight
this
it.
thing, you know.
Yeah,
And the other way is like, um, I've got a beautiful partner. I've got a kid on the way.
yeah,
It's like, if people are like, "Oh, that's motivation enough for you to live, blah, blah, blah." It's, well, the way that I think about it, the way that my mind's wired
yeah.
is if I'm sitting in the corner, rocking backwards and forwards, crying because, "Oh, my world's gonna fall apart," or, "How am I gonna do this?" or, "How am I gonna make
Mm,
money?" or, like, all of these things, if I'm spiraling there, like,
yeah,
how's that been a solid rock for my partner?
yeah.
Like,
But
what is she gonna do? She's gonna fucking crumble, bro. It's like,
yeah.
and how is that gonna help me? Like,
How's it gonna help you fight it? Yeah. I'm a
do you
big
know what
bel
I mean?
and as I know you are,
Yeah,
I'm not good at it the way you are, but I wanna be, is having the positive mindset. You've just gotta be positive that you can beat
yeah,
it and you can do it, and honestly, I don't know how I would have responded to news like that. I don't think I'm as strong as you mentally when it comes
mhm,
to that, like, and you've really inspired me with just your positive outlook on how you're battling
Yeah.
it. And like talking to you today, those who don't know you, who watch this, would have had no idea about what we're talking about now was coming. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just because of how you hold yourself, how you
Mm.
talk. And honestly, mate, like I believe you're going to crush it just by
Yeah.
your mentality and your mindset. Like, when do you get to find out? Like, have they done a scan recently?
So
When are we finding out the progress? Like,
I've
what's going
we
on?
did a scan on the 27th of December, and so
Okay,
I'm actually gonna find out what's today? Is Sunday today?
Sunday today. Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out tomorrow where it's at.
Okay.
Okay. So if the treatment is working, which it is, because my lungs, I can breathe better,
You
um,
haven't seemed
a
short of breath or anything.
a lot better. Yeah.
Mm,
Yep. Um, if it's working how they want it to work,
mhm.
the theory is that it will be another 6 weeks of chemo, and then
Okay.
it should be done, should be
So
finished.
what's the chemo doing? Is it shrinking it? Is that the like, obviously it's poison going into your
Yeah,
body
yeah.
to attack
Killing
the
killing the
mass?
cancer cells, right?
Yeah.
Um, so and that's that's what they tell you. They tell you that chemo
Mhm.
kills the cancer cells.
Mhm.
Um, what they don't like to tell you is that chemo kills every single cell in your body at different
Mm.
rates because
Mm.
it's not a little
Not
soldier.
targeted.
It's got a targeting beacon, right?
Mm.
Now, I'm not a chemo specialist, so
Mm.
people could say what they want about it. This
Mm.
isn't a, don't take advice from this or anything, but
Mm.
yeah, if you go and research it and look at the fundamentals of chemo, basically it just affects every single cell in your body. That's why people's hair fall out. That's why I no longer have a beard anymore. You know,
Yeah.
um, that's why yeah, it destroys your hormones. It destroys a lot of stuff. Um,
Mhm.
it it has more of an affinity for fast um, duplicating cells, like cells that
Mhm.
divide really quickly, which is what
Mm.
chemo cells are. But that's
Mhm.
also what your immune system cells are, and your bone
Mm.
marrow, so your red blood cells and everything as well. So I need to get blood tests every single week, and they just need to check all the levels of that to make
Perfect.
sure that the chemo drugs aren't out outrunning sort of my health
Yep.
system, right?
Yep.
And if it starts to do that, then they've got options like blood transfusions and different things like that to either top me up or pull back on the chemo. But
Mm.
lucky enough, I was young enough. Body mass was a decent size. They were just like, let's just blast this thing,
Yep.
and yeah, I'll find out tomorrow exactly how well it's going
Yep.
officially, and then I'll find out whether I've got another 6-week block
Mhm.
of cycles of chemo or
Yep.
if I've got another 12-week block.
Okay.
Um,
So that depends on the size of it?
it'll depend on how I think it'll depend on the rate at which it's shrunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But
if you
but something's definitely happened, right?
mm. Well, yeah, if you seem like you don't seem sick at all.
Yeah.
Like talking to you, and
Yeah.
you said you've mentioned to me before you've lost weight. How much weight have you lost?
It's fluctuated and thankfully it's come back up, but I went from originally around the 110, 112
Yep.
kilo mark, all the way down to I got it down as low as 92.
Wow.
So like really rapidly. I
Mm.
lost some of that from so this is from the initial
Mhm.
symptoms, not the initial diagnosis. The initial symptoms, you know how I said I started um, cleaning
Yep.
up my nutrition and everything. So, there'll be a little bit of weight loss from that, but
Yep.
basically went from 112 down to 92. Um, lost a lot of muscle,
Yep.
um, and lost a bit of fat, but increased I've definitely increased around the midsection, so that
Mm,
that visceral fat has increased, um, and I think a lot of that's come from the prednisolone, which is a corticosteroid that you take,
mhm.
that helps you keep weight on,
Okay.
but yeah, I think it does it all in the wrong ways because it actually eats
Mm,
your muscle.
right.
Yeah,
Not the gains. Not
but
the
anyway,
gains.
it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Where were we?
well, in regards to that, right? So with the diet, are you doing keto right now? What are you doing diet-wise? Are you still doing that? Like
I am. It's probably more aligned with paleo. So
paleo, sorry.
yeah, I've been saying it's keto based. The
Yep.
reason why I say that is I've still been having quite a few berries, which are higher in antioxidants, etc.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense.
which is what we want to flush all the
Yeah.
crap out. But
Mhm.
I've got a bunch of other sort of herbal supplements that I've been using as well. Basically, my goal's been to have the chemo, which what we
Mhm.
know is really, really toxic for the body.
Mhm.
Um, and any supplements that I take is like high dose sort of vitamin C, like all the antioxidant based supplements, green tea
Yep.
extract to help flush out toxins,
Mhm.
right? Um, and the reason for the keto diet is people can go and check this out. Dr. Thomas Seyfried, I think that's how you say his name,
Yep.
um, has been doing a lot of research on the metabolism of cancer cells as a whole.
Mhm.
And basically, they can only metabolize two main fuels, and one of them is glucose, which comes from
Mhm.
carbohydrates, and the
Yep.
other one is glutamine. And
Glutamine.
unfortunately, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
it's like a fermentable amino acid.
I've had glutamine before
Unfortunately,
in health drinks, like in
yeah,
yeah,
it's literally
protein
in
shake.
it's in everything that's got to do with protein and amino acids.
Yeah.
So it's a really abundant amino acid. We've got it in our own body, like
Mhm.
everywhere. So you can't really control that unless you had glutamine inhibiting drugs to pull that
Mm.
down. But I'm pretty sure that's legal, and we like you can't just go in and get that stuff. Um,
Mm.
but like to put myself in the best situation, just cut out all the carbs, um, except for like a little bit of berries and that here and
Mm.
there, but mainly keto based. So
Wow.
literally like avocado, meat,
Meat.
greens,
I tell
broccoli.
you, I've actually
Yeah,
the last 3 weeks, I've made the change with my diet too, to more I'm trying to go more carnivore-ish, but I guess it's more along the line of paleo. I've literally just been eating just meat. Like yesterday, I ate just meat and an apple. It was like a bit of fruit that I had. Meat
yeah,
and fruit is literally what I've been eating, and I actually feel like I'm getting better. I'm trying to get my health back. I've been
yeah,
exercising again, swimming, rowing. I
yeah.
went 2 years. Ever since the big C, um, I lost after getting the in the old arm, I lost all energy levels. Stopped my training. It kind of lined up with starting a new business as well, but I just let
Hmm.
myself go essentially.
Hmm.
And only probably the last 3 weeks, I've started rowing. Like I do stints of 10K rows and going to the pools,
Nice.
going swimming. Started like having like today, I had eye fillet steak with eggs and garlic for breakfast.
Beauty.
And I'm finding eating just meat. Like yesterday, I had 2 steaks, eggs, and then we went out to dinner, but we went to Korean barbecue, and I just had meat because you can do that at a
Wicked.
Korean barbecue, just
Yeah.
meat and ribs and whatever sauce is on it. Obviously, they've got sauce on it. I need to tidy up the drinks. I'd say I'm more like 80%, but I see myself sticking to this because I've seen a lot of the benefits of just eating
It's
meat and
simple.
staying away from breads, pastas,
Yeah.
rices. If I in a situation where I can't dodge it or there's nothing to, you know, that's why I'm saying about 80%. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just trying my best to tidy up my nutrition as well for health benefits like that, just to be healthier. But also, I just feel like I'm not as hungry as I used to be when I would eat breads and things. And when you eat meat, I feel like you're satiated longer.
The
Um,
protein is the highest satiating
yeah,
macronutrient, right?
yeah, it is. It really is, and I feel better. I feel better from it. Like, I honestly got to tell you, when you first told me, it actually really shook me, mate. Like,
Yeah,
I actually kind of had a. You handled the actual thing better than I handled the news of you getting it. I'm just
yeah,
going to be honest and put it out there.
yeah.
Like, to the point where a couple of weeks ago, I think I actually suffered a panic attack. Um, to the point where I nearly went to the hospital. Like, I had massive pain in my chest. Um, I had tingling in my hands. Both my hands were tingling. I felt really crook, and it lasted for like a week. After I went and got the blood tests, went and did a CG, whatever they're called, ECG.
Mhm.
They're like, no, everything's fine. It seems like you might have had a panic attack. And I think it's been a lot of things going on in life recently,
Yeah.
family wise, work wise, just in general. And I just had not been eating well, drinking, not drinking a lot, but drinking, not just not being healthy. And when I spoke to you, I don't know, I couldn't shake. I'm thinking to myself, if someone is into health and fitness as you get sick, I'm like, I just went on a spiral, and I overthink things.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know. Like, mentally, it just took me a lot to deal with just life these last couple of months. And thankfully, now I'm turning the corner and starting this podcast as a way of trying to chase it better, like trying to get myself back to where I feel like I used to
Yeah.
be when I was healthier, looking after myself. And
And
yeah, I don't know. Like,
what's the thing that's helped you to turn the corner?
um, you know, just focusing on the positive. Normally, I've been a positive person, and for some reason, I just couldn't shake negative thoughts. And I will admit, I've been very skeptical. Of of the jabs, seeing how many people got
Mhm.
sick, worrying that we've done this to my child. What if something happens to my child?
Yeah.
Since becoming a father, I really worry more than I've ever worried in life, I think.
Mhm.
And when my daughter gets sick, I tend to be an over worrier and overthinker, um, and I think I just worried myself to the point of, without even knowing, like, the day it happened, I wasn't worrying at all. It was weird. Like, I
Yeah.
sat down on the couch and I felt a sharp pain go through my chest. And as soon as I felt that sharp pain go through my chest, I was a bit tipsy because it was around Christmas time. I was having a few drinks, and I just went into like full sweats and like got dizzy. And I'm like, am I having a heart attack? Like, all the things came into my mind, and I thought, oh man,
Mm.
like Rob got sick, and then I just started thinking about other people that had gotten sick, and turbo cancer's on the rise, and all these things started
Yeah.
going through my head. And I think it just culminated into me just, you know, panicking. It was a crazy experience. But from
The
there,
good thing is that you did go and get checked out, bro. So,
yeah,
like, you're all
and I
good? Everything's good?
well, they say everything's all good, so they
Yeah?
said just blood tests, ECG, everything's good. Just
Sweet.
probably more in
That's
my
a good,
head too much. Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know,
The
mate.
cool thing is that you've got that baseline now. Like, you've had that checkup,
Yeah,
and now it's like you can only move forward from here. Like, that's cool.
yeah.
'Cause
I
this is
use
where we
that.
are.
I
Cool.
use that, and then I thought, you know what? What are you doing with your life? You're 41. It's time to look after your health better. It's time to get your shit
Yeah.
together. I
Yeah.
want to set up. I want to set up my, life for my daughter better, life for my wife. I want to, we talked before the show briefly, but like, I want to live life on my terms. I don't want to
Mhm.
be uh, tied to something that I'm not 100% passionate about. So I want to live life on my terms. And I think it just gave me a good kick in the butt to take a look at myself. And I feel ashamed even talking about it, in the sense that, with what you're dealing with. But I wanted to talk to you about it because it's
Mm.
what happened, and it's true, and it's what happened to me. And whether I like it or not, that's what happened to me.
It depends on, like, yeah. like everyone's got their own shit to deal with, right? And that's
Yeah.
all there. It's all at different levels, and it everyone's got different ways of dealing with things, I suppose. But
Yeah.
I went for a few days back. I can't remember, maybe 5 days back.
Mm.
I was pretty shit. Like I was it was after one of the treatments, and
Yeah.
it's the shortest treatment actually. It's only an hour and a half. It's not even the 5 hours of sitting in the chair getting multiple. It's only an hour and a half, and this
That's
one,
ins
like, just you could just feel it through your whole body. It's not
Yeah.
excruciating pain, like it's nothing crazy. Females' period cramps would be 10 times worse than
Mm.
what I was getting, right? So, but you can just feel it. You just know you're pumped full of chemicals, and it feels like shit. And then I had a day where I just had no energy, like just none, and I
Yeah.
was lying on the couch and sleeping and drifting in and out. And I tried to get up and go for a bit of a bike ride, and I got 500 meters down the road, turned around and came back, and was
Mm.
cooked. And then I was lying on the couch, and then I just started to feel sorry for myself a little bit, like it just
Mm.
started creeping in. And I'm
Right.
grateful that I caught myself. I'm grateful
Mm.
that I caught myself and had to sack up. Um,
Mm.
and but like I'm not trying to be super alpha either, because I allowed
Mm.
myself to feel what I needed to feel. Okay, I
Mm.
feel like shit. I'm gonna take a couple of Panadols, and I'm gonna allow myself to lie back, sleep it off, and chill out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
tomorrow, I'm gonna make sure I get up and I move.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the conversation that I had with myself. It's like I'm gonna allow myself to feel shit, but I'm not gonna
Take a day.
wallow in it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna wallow in it. I'm not gonna start the cycle of, "Oh, I'm not feeling well. This is bad,"
Mm.
and I'm not gonna repeat it to my partner every 5
Mm.
minutes. "Oh, I feel like shit. Oh, I'm sore," because
Mm.
that's, gonna start reaffirming that story of how sore you actually are, or
So
how
true.
bad you actually are, and then it's just gonna snowball. It can quite easily snowball.
Yeah.
Um, so I allowed myself to just rest and recover, but it was
Mm.
more reframing it into, okay, my mission today is to recover.
Mm.
So I'm gonna recover
Yeah.
well. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make sure I
Yeah.
hydrate. I'm gonna make sure I've eat the right nutrition, make sure I've got electrolytes in the
Yeah.
hydration so I can actually hold on to it and hydrate the body properly.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make sure I sleep. I'm not
Mm.
gonna distract myself from not sleeping. I'm gonna make sure I sleep so I can actually
Do
recover.
the basics, right? Do the
Yeah,
basics. Do what you need to do
but
with
the
what you
the
can do.
but the mindset is not about lying and feeling shit for yourself, and, "Oh, I'm
Mm.
just gonna sleep it off because I'm buggered." It's like, no, this is
Mm.
the mission. The mission is to recover, so I'm gonna make
Yeah.
sure I recover well. Um,
Yeah.
and I guess the comparison is when people tell me that they need a couple of days to recover for something, or
Mm.
they need a day off. They
Mm.
go and they have a day off, but do they actually recover? Or do they actually have a day
Mm. I
where
feel
they
like they just
just,
distract themselves or go do something that's a
yeah,
distraction,
where they, like,
some form
you
of
need to
distraction.
you need to fill yourself up and
Mm.
recover properly. And then, the day after, I was able to get up and move. And then the day after that, I was able to go to the gym. I went for
Mm.
a 4.6K run walk. I couldn't
Absolute
run.
beast.
Um, it like during a hot day, I think it was like a
Mm.
42-degree day.
Jeez.
I made sure I was super ultra hydrated 3 hours before we went up there. Or no, I went up
Yeah.
there. Um, I didn't actually tell my partner I was doing that because she wouldn't let me. But
You're absolute savage.
but the cool,
Funny.
like, now, this has been a long story, but I'm coming to the point is that while I was walking, jogging through the forest and having moments of weakness in the forest, like, "Oh, this is too hard," and then just keep walking forward. I actually
Mhm.
performed better when I pulled the headphones out of my head and
Mm.
just put them in my pocket to stop all the noise. I got enough head noise, let alone having someone else
Somebody in your ear. Yeah.
speaking to me. And then I was going through the forest, and it started to sort of clear out, and then I was thinking, and I was like, just trying to pull myself back into perspective, and I was like, you know what?
Mm,
I got a partner that's pregnant for 9 months. Like, she's growing a human, and she's
mm,
uncomfortable for 9 months. Got weird little aches and pains, um, and then she's going to give birth to a
mm.
child, which is going to be
To a
extremely painful.
human.
That I will never know what that pain's like.
Mm,
And here I am, and I just had a little sore
mm,
day. So
mm.
it's like that sort of put things back into
Yeah.
perspective, and it's also like she's going through this for 9 months. She's going to push
Mm,
out this kid, right? And
mhm,
here I am. I've only got like 2 months, 3 months worth of chemotherapy. Like,
mm.
pretty sure I'm okay. Pretty sure I'm good.
But
Like,
that's not normal, though.
no,
You are a special person that comes to that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
I wanted to share my story because I wanted to talk to you about it because it's
yeah,
what happened, right? But I really admire your mental toughness, mate. Like,
mm,
because then I think about putting in perspective, I'm just being a little gazelle. Like, I'm literally being a little bitch about worrying about things that I have no control over.
mm,
And then honestly, I did think about you a lot over these last couple of weeks. Even if I didn't message you and stuff, I've been thinking about you a lot and just trying the perspective of like, look how brave and strong you are in the face of adversity, and really just trying to take lessons from you, and just wanting to have this conversation to talk because I'm hoping it will help other people to put things in perspective in life and how you handle things, and coming at it with such a positive mindset. Whenever I start
mm,
feeling worried about something now, I just think, I feel better now after having gone through that. Um, I feel better pushing it aside, going, you can't control it. You just got to be positive. You got one life. Go for it. Like, you just got to create the courage. It's not going to come to you. You
yeah,
just got to fucking do it without trying to be cheesy, throwing it in there. And I really owe you a lot of thanks for helping me with that perspective, whether you know you're doing it or not. The posts that you do, seeing you in the gym, like seeing you put a post up of you being in the gym lifting when you're going through everything that you're going through. I'm just like, I'm gonna hop on the rower. I'm gonna bust out these 10Ks. And like
let's do
5Ks in, I'm like, man, I'm hungry. I want to stop. And I think I'm not stopping until I get to that goal. And honestly, that for the first time in nearly 3 years, I'm starting to get that fire again. And I feel like I needed to get
yeah,
to that
nice.
point of having that breakdown, I guess,
Mhm,
having the breakdown to recalibrate and come out on the other end of it and be like, stop being a gazelle, stop being a bitch, get up and get after life and do something. And I owe a
yeah,
lot of that to you, mate, in just how you are being you, handling what you're handling. It's honestly truly inspiring, and I hope people who listen to this and watch this really take a look in the mirror at their own lives and think about, what are they getting upset about? What are they doing, and what could they do better to make their lives better? Because to be so positive, I know a lot of people wouldn't be as positive you are in the position you're
mm.
in, and I honestly think that that would affect the results too. Would
Oh,
you
massively,
agree? Like I think the way you think,
massively.
you can think yourself into
Yeah,
sickness, and I
yeah.
think I was doing that. I was making
The
myself so sick through worry.
the the biology of belief is real,
Yeah, I
massively.
really
Like,
am.
it's the same as the placebo effect, right?
Yes, yeah. Lani's my wife is great at that. She is so good at being positive, and she gave me a good talking to. She's given me a good talking to too, to get my head on straight, get myself together. We've got a lot to be thankful for, remembering to be thankful. And I think that's a journey that I've been on, and I want to be on in this podcast, is how to be more thankful, how to
Mm.
learn from people, talk to people more about their experiences. So hopefully I can learn more,
Mate,
to
I
do
appreciate
better.
your kind words, and I appreciate the feedback, and I just wanna
Yeah.
let everyone know, anyone
Mm,
that listens to this, that I'm no saint. Like, I've learned I don't know where my resilience has come from multiple different
Mm,
things, and a lot of them could just come from failure. Dramatic failure after dramatic
mm,
failure after falling down and getting back up and falling down and getting back up. I'm just grateful that I keep getting back up because if I
mm,
didn't, and we've had plenty of times in my life where I, I could have easily just stayed down. Like
mm,
this is just to me, this is just another thing. Like
mm,
it's not even a problem. It's got to the point
mm,
where in my mind, it's not a thing. It's not a problem.
mm.
Just a little situation, you know.
Just a lesson,
And
right? I remember you said to
you're
me, I think
right,
you said it
you're
to
right.
me in a text maybe, or a voice message you left me.
Yeah,
It's just a recalibration for what your goals will be. So before we
massive.
finish up, I want to kind of ask you then, now going through this and having that
Yeah.
recalibration of what you want to do, what is going to be on the horizon for you? What are you looking forward to doing? And what's your goals now going forward when you beat this? Like what's going to be the first thing that you're going to be like, all right.
There's so many different things, mate, because, like goals, obviously, there's different areas and aspects of your life, but
Mhm,
before before this hit me, um, and a lot of this has been inspired from Wes Watson actually, is
mhm,
one thing that started to really keep me on track, whether that's mentally or just in life in general, is,
yeah,
my mission is to become the person that I admire
yeah, nice,
and to give that person back to the world. And
nice,
like that there, that is my mission. So
yeah, nice,
whether I am progressing in leadership,
mhm,
my sole mission is to become the best person that I admire. So
mm,
the type of characteristics, the type of person that you hold the highest, um, just becoming and being and acting and playing out that person every single day as best I can and improving,
yeah, yeah,
that's gonna flow into everything else, and to give that person back to the world, I think
mm,
like, is the best thing that you can do, and you can
yeah,
flip the script to make more sense of it or to make more of a
mhm,
mission of it if you want to, um, is to a similar one is to become the type of man that you would want your daughter to marry.
mm,
And that'll smack you in the face because you know all
it
the
does,
stupid shit that you do. And
yeah,
the thing is that your daughter is going to marry, or most likely going to
mm,
choose the example that you set as a
that's
man.
right.
So you better
That's so
set
true.
that you better
Better
set
set
that
that example.
motherfucking example, brother. You know what I mean?
Better set
Um,
it. You
so
better set it.
that's along the same lines of what my mission is, and,
Nice. Because that
everything
can go
else.
in many different avenues too, right?
Oh,
It can take
massively.
you anywhere.
Yeah.
That can take you I
I
I could
think
see you talking to people in this scenario and motivating them to get through it.
yeah.
Like, I could see you giving back to people like that. Sorry, I cut you off. What were you gonna say?
Look, I don't know exactly, where the path is gonna lead, and I don't think anyone does, but,
Mm,
as long as I can stay true to that in any given situation, which it
mm,
tests me every single day to hold myself accountable to that,
yeah,
because to be able to take action and to be able to live that truth, you have to you have to
mm,
carve off and cut off the old self. Like, you literally have
mhm.
to die and be reborn in a sense.
Honestly, I kind of feel like I've gone through that these last couple of weeks. Just the last 3 years of how I've been, I felt like is dying every workout I put in now. Every
Mhm.
time I talk myself out of negative thoughts, I feel like I'm killing that weakness out of me slowly.
Yeah.
After we finish,
So
I'm gonna go do a 10K row, and I'm gonna take my daughter swimming, and I did, 15 laps yesterday. I'm gonna go for 16 laps today. Like,
yeah,
I
sick.
can't swim well, but I use a floaty to help me swim, but I'm moving. I'm moving. I feel like I'm just trying to beat it as you it's not a pretty sight,
Yeah.
but I'm moving. I
That's good, man,
uh,
that's good.
I tell you what, mate, when your little one comes, it's gonna change your life. Having a
Yeah,
child is the greatest thing that has ever happened to me in my life.
nice.
Um, it's just the want to protect them, to raise them, and to be a leader. Wait till you get to lead and teach and teach. It's a little girl, right? Teach her
Mhm. Yep.
about life and everything. It's the greatest joy you'll ever have. I can tell you now.
Nice.
It's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. It changed. It's changed me for sure. And it just gets better and better as they get older and they start. You know, now we can have full on conversations, and I get the conversations. You know, what is life? What's life, Dad? What's life about? And it's like, all right, here we go.
Uh,
Let's go. Let's go. Or what does that mean? Like, yeah, there's some fun ones to answer. That's
yeah,
for sure.
sick.
I can't wait to see you leading your little one into greatness. I can see
Yeah,
it. Oh,
wicked.
mate.
Well, that's the thing is you got to do it now.
Yeah, you got to
There's
do
no
it now.
putting it off. Hey,
There's no putting it off.
there's no talking about it. It's got to be all action.
Yes. And they see and hear everything. Every off look you
Exactly.
give, every time they pick up on everything. That's one thing I've learned. They pick up on everything. It's good. It's a good accountability check. That's for
Yeah.
sure. Having a little one. So I can't wait. So in February, champions are born in February. Just going to say, in a February baby, champions born in February.
Yeah, good. Good.
I'm happy for you, mate. And look,
Definitely,
thank you for
definitely.
sharing the story. Like, I mean, we're 2 hours deep. I think that's
Bro.
pretty good. Hey,
Yeah,
this is no
thank
Rogan
you.
podcast. We're not 3 hours yet, but
Yeah,
we've
I
done
think we
pretty good.
better cut it there. Like, we could literally talk for 4 or 5 hours, but I
We
think
could literally talk for a long time.
we
But I
better
think we
cut it
need to
there.
do another one in a couple of weeks so you can share the
Yeah,
news of you kicking its ass.
let you know
Because
how we're going.
I fear for it because you're a freaking beast, mate. You're gonna kick its ass. So we'll have to do a follow up episode where we can talk about it and maybe talk more about your future goals and
Yeah,
all that stuff coming. Because
yeah, sick.
a month to the little ones here, so got a bit of time.
Yeah, yeah, 26th of Feb, she's due. Little Ruthie May.
Wow, Ruthie May. Wow,
There
beautiful.
you go.
Yes, give love to your partner too, and tell her I said hello. And mate, thank you for
Do.
being my first guest on the Create the Courage podcast. I'm going to do a little intro, which people would have hopefully already seen by now when they see this, about what the show's about.
Cool.
But this is us raw, just getting into it, chatting. I really appreciate you sharing your story and just catching up. You know, it was good to catch up and just talk about things that
Yeah,
we used to talk about.
it's
That was
good,
fun
man.
for that. So you're an absolute legend, Rob. Um, yeah, let's leave it there, mate, and we'll talk
Cheers,
soon.
brother. Alright,
Everybody, thanks for tuning in and watching this. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. This will be on a separate channel called Create the Courage Podcast, which is also going to be shown on my Iron Logan YouTube channel as well. So if you follow me on Iron Logan, be sure to hop over and check me out on Create the Courage Podcast. We'll be doing these episodes moving forward. Again, brother, thank you,
cool.
and everyone else. Till next time, peace.
Cheers, mate.